Let's move over and talk a little bit about something that already happened and not something that's going to happen. And that is the history that we saw on NXT on Tuesday night. Stephanie Vaquer makes history, becoming the first person to successfully defend multiple titles on one night. She opened up the show retaining her NXT Women's Championship against Jaida Parker in a matchup that Jordynne Grace got a little too involved in, and yet a roll-up victory for Vaquer and a retention of the NXT Women's Championship in a solid 10-minute match. And then Vaquer closed out the show in the main event, retaining her NXT North American Championship against Fallon Henley. Vaquer makes history and continues to be on a rocket ship trajectory throughout NXT, and eventually you would have to imagine to the top of the card on the main roster. She has quickly ascended this company and become one of its most marketable stars, and she is certainly the face right now of the NXT brand. And here's the thing about that. Because yes, they have some very big names down there. Yes, they have some people that are doing some very tremendous work. Obafemi as NXT champion, great. Trick Williams and this new has a mean streak behind him, a little bit fed up with the bullcrap version of himself, maybe part of that other new group that just joined. That version of Trick Williams, very good. Ricky Saints has been great since joining NXT. But there is no bigger star right now on that brand than Stephanie Vaquer. And that is in large part due to how good she has been since she came to WWE. But I think a lot of credit for that also has to go to the rest of that division. Because in my opinion, that division right now is one of, if not the best divisions in all of professional wrestling. I think it goes toe-to-toe with any division on Raw or SmackDown. I think it is miles ahead of any other division on NXT, to be completely blunt. And I think it goes toe-to-toe with the best divisions that AEW has to offer. The way that the NXT women have been able to entertain and tell stories throughout 2025 so far is top tier. And because they have three things. First, it's the in-ring ability. What we've seen, I mean, whether it's Vengeance Day, the fatal four-way that we got between Roxanne and Stephanie and Julia and Cora Jade, or whether it be what we saw last night, even in the tag match, Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, getting a huge victory over Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, who are destined for massive things, who should probably end up with the women's tag team titles at some point here in the next couple of months. The in-ring ability, the in-ring talent, the in-ring matchups have been phenomenal. That's number one. Number two, it's the star power. Stephanie Vaquer is obviously the figurehead of this division, but you also have Julia. You also have, for the time being, Roxanne Perez, who is on herself on a trajectory to be one of the biggest stars in the WWE. You have Jordynne Grace that just came over. So you have the top tier star power. You also have the depth, and that's item number three. We already mentioned Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, solid showing yesterday. Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson are phenomenal. Sol Ruca, Jaida Parker, who did well for herself yesterday. Zarya has been entertaining since she came over. Fallon Henley, I think, deserves a lot of credit. Cora Jade is also in that mix. There is so many interesting characters in NXT's women's division, but also so many talented wrestlers. And the way that they're able to weave the storytelling and the in-ring ability is better than most divisions in pro wrestling. I'm not going to say they are far and away the number one division, because I think there's a lot of competition when it comes to saying that. I mean, the top of the AEW men's roster is ridiculous. It is. I mean, it's Will Ospreay, it's Kenny Omega, it's Kazuchika Okada, it's Swerve Strickland. Like, that is obviously going to be up there and in the conversation for the top three, no matter who you ask. The top of the men's division in WWE right now is crazy. We just talked about that triple threat earlier. You add on John Cena. You add on Randy Orton doing some phenomenal work right now in, year 20 for him? They're going to have something to be said as well about that. The AEW women's division, Mariah May, Timeless Toni Storm, whatever we're seeing with Megan Bayne right now, which is actually very, very good. They have another right to be able to be, or a claim, not a right. They have a claim to be in this conversation as well. But to me, from start to finish, top to bottom, the one that is right now the most entertaining, or second most entertaining, 1.1, is the NXT women's division. And I think that is in large part due to the entire locker room, the work that they do down there. You got to give credit where credit is due to Shawn Michaels as well for putting these women in positions to succeed and giving them the time and the spotlight to be able to show out. And they have. And that goes to them. But you also have to give it to Stephanie Vaquer. Because if you don't have the face of that division as dominant and hitting as often as she has, then it's not going to land correctly. It has landed correctly. She made history, and it has been a lot of fun watching the NXT women just show out every single night. NXT Vengeance Day, phenomenal. NXT Roadblock, phenomenal. Last night, the big night for Stephanie Vaquer, phenomenal. I would imagine that we are going to get nothing short of phenomenal at NXT Stand and Deliver.